Wish politicians would look out for minors, not just minors on an island somewhere. Got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, while the fat cats get corporate welfare. If you own a yacht or 3, and a mansion or 10, then why the hell is your tax rate less than a blue-collar man? People are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, while bought and paid for politicians selling them out. Oh, it's a damn shame. Okay. My name is DT Jacobs. I'm a singer-songwriter and a blue-collar working guy of over 35 years. I've had 2 different insurance companies turn their backs on me when I needed them, and I also lost my job, my career, and my marriage during the '08 crash when a bunch of bankers crashed the economy and sent millions of people out of work, including myself. At my lowest point, I ended up sitting on a 5-gallon pail in my garage, deciding whether or not I should just kill myself, because that's where I ended up. I'm gonna be playing a video by Tennessee Brando. I watched it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I should really react to that video. So I'm gonna. And here we go.
So I'm sure y'all remember back in July or August of 2023 when the song Men North of Richmond came out, Oliver Anthony's viral hit. We haven't seen a song blow up like that before, and we've not seen a song blow up like that after. That was definitely the viral hit of a generation. And that dude immediately became the darling child of MAGA, whether he wanted to or not. And I don't know what he's into these days or what he thinks about things these days. But that song definitely did resonate and reach a whole lot of people. And there was even people on my side of the aisle that thought some of my criticisms of the song was a little bit too harsh. And I remember people saying, well, I think you're being a little too hard on it. And they criticized me for criticizing it. But I want to go back and talk about my criticism, because I'm not trying to flex here, but I do believe that I had it right all along on this one. And when I say that, here's what I mean. Back then, I said, yeah, the song was catchy, and he had me. I was sitting there listening to it, relating to every word, until he got to the part about, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, my taxes shouldn't pay for your fudge rounds, or whatever he said. And right there is where he lost me, and right there is where
That's where he lost a lot of people. That's where he lost Maren Morris. I remember seeing a video of her saying she really liked that song until I got to the second set of verses. Okay, so obviously it was that line. There's sort of an unwritten rule with songwriters. You don't kick down, you punch up. You always punch up. You don't kick down. You don't kick down. Unless you're some douchebag right-wing fucking asshole that wants to just blame everyone else for everything that's going wrong in this country that are, vulnerable communities like poor people. I mean, fuck off, So, he kicked down. I remember when I heard it, I was like, whoa. I just can't imagine if I was like in the grocery store and I bought, Nutter Butters, or Golden Oreos or some shit, and somebody walked up and went, hey, you shouldn't be getting those. And now they're making a big deal about it now. Now there's all kinds of talk about, see, this is the shit that drives me fucking insane. Poverty is a policy choice. And so instead of being like, hey, you know what? Let's actually pay people a living fucking wage so they don't have to be on government assistance. Let's actually give them a chance to be able to work a job full time that will allow them to put, a roof over their heads and food on the table and clothes on their backs. Right now it's like most jobs that you take, especially if they're entry level, you pretty much got to live in your fucking car in the goddamn parking lot, or you're screwed. And it's total crap. And so instead of fixing that, while you've got billionaires paying jack shit for taxes, if at all, and you've got, $80 trillion that have gone from the bottom 90% up to the top 10% or 1% or whatever the hell it is, over the last 50 years or 60 years. I mean, come on. You know, there's your problem. There's your trouble. You want to fix all this other stuff, fix that. That's what you got to do. They won't do it because poverty is a policy choice. Because they're a bunch of dicks. So, anyway, I know that when I was at my lowest point, it would not have gone over well if somebody walked up and looked in my shopping cart and was like, hey, those Nutter Butters, you can't get those. You're on government assistance. You're not allowed to get those. Like, if some dick, I would have been like, take them out. Try and take them out of my cart and see what happens. You know, and he's like, fuck you. Who the fuck are you? You know, it's such bullshit. It's like, people aren't stressed enough. Now you're going to be like, oh, we got to monitor what food you buy. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fix all the other shit. You know, that's so stupid. It's so stupid to do that. So, I don't know. It drives me nuts. Let's hear more of this.
Realized instantly why that it resonated with MAGA. When I heard that line, I said, I get it now. I get why this song is viral with them. I get why they're pushing this. Right there, he punched down. And I said back then, I said, you know, if he'd have took an opportunity to swing up instead of down, it would have been a completely different song. And it probably wouldn't have hit like it did. It sure wouldn't have hit like it did with MAGA if he'd have.
Yeah, and a lot of the reason it hit is because it got astroturfed by right-wingers. It was, you know, it was the Charlie Kirks and the Ben Shapiros and the whoever the fuck, I don't even know. All the ones that basically are your typical right-wing independent media type people. They're the ones who really pushed it. And that's why when Oliver Anthony eventually did actually come out and say, I didn't write this song for those people. There were a whole bunch of right-wingers and MAGAs that got pissed. Like, hey, we made you. And it's like, you know, he didn't write it for them. But as soon as they heard that whole part about throwing poor people who are overweight under the bus, then they were immediately like, yeah, he's our guy. He's on our side. And he wasn't. He still shouldn't have written that line. That line was fucking terrible. And that whole half of that second set of verses, he should have thrown right in the shitter. But anyway, let's continue.
It said something along the lines of, you know, if you're the richest dude in the world, my tax dollars shouldn't go to the top to buy you a golden toilet. If he'd have said something like that, it would have been a completely different song and would have hit completely different with MAGA. And as a matter of fact, they probably wouldn't have liked it as good.
Yeah, they would have ignored it. And unfortunately, the left isn't as coordinated with amplifying. I mean, I've got songs that are very socially conscious, and I've reached out to different left, you know, different people on the left that have channels to try to hopefully have them amplify me. And they all fucking ignored me. And, you know, some of them liked my comment or, you know, were like, oh, that's cool, you know, but they never actually was like, cool, I'm going to share that and amplify it. A lot of this was before Trump got elected. So it's like, you know, but it's like, I don't know how the hell, probably 12 people will probably see this video, to be honest with you. I don't know how to amplify that message, especially if a lot of streamers in left-wing independent media, it's not the same. I mean, Oliver Anthony fucking came out of nowhere.
Because they've never been about calling out rich people in power. They've just always been about punching down at poor people because they think that they're the ones that are the root of their problem, because that's what MAGA preaches to them every day. And Republicans have been preaching this long before Donald Trump or Oliver Anthony ever came along. Republicans have preached that it's the poor person underneath you that makes your life harder. As the years rolled on, it went from, you know, it was poor people on food stamps or disabilities or any form of government assistance. You know, it was those people that was your problem. and it was black people that was your problem, and it was immigrants that was taking your job, and it was gay and trans people that was your problem. They could never fathom the idea that a rich man may be taking from everybody and stealing from everybody. That's the one thing. They kept everybody focused on everyone else while they had their hands in the cookie jar. And now Donald Trump, by the way, a rich man north of Richmond, has handed over the keys to the castle to the richest man north of any place in the world. And they're going in and gutting all of these government programs, and MAGA is cheering about this the same way they was cheering for that song, because it's always been about their hatred for poor people. And it's funny to me because so many of them are still struggling, so many of them are still trying to make it in this world, but yet they will always, no matter how hard they struggle in this world, they'll never criticize Elon Musk. They'll never criticize Donald Trump. They'll never think that a rich man is stealing from them. But they'll get pissed off in the line at the gas station if some guy buys a fudge round with an EBT card. And they'll think that guy is the root of all their problems, because that's what they've been taught to believe. But that song going viral, and them claiming that it was the rich men north of Richmond, we sat back and watched the inauguration, and we saw the richest men north of anywhere, like I said. Yep. We saw those men standing around Donald Trump, and we saw all the people that were pissed at people having fudge rounds left out in the cold. So I really feel like my criticisms of that song back then was fair. And like I said, I don't know that dude personally. And I said that back then. I said, I don't know this dude personally. I don't know if he meant for this to happen. I don't know if that's the audience he meant to reach. I do remember he did call out the Republicans for playing it at one of the Republican debates.
Yeah, and he went on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he tried to explain that song. He tried to basically say that he wasn't really calling out overweight people, obese people on government assistance eating junk food. He was calling out the fact that, people who end up getting on government assistance, junk food's cheaper than healthy food, I think, was sort of the argument he was making. Like they kind of have to eat that, because it's calorie rich or whatever. And so there's ways to do that. There's ways not to. And I don't think the way he did that was the way to do it. I mean, if you were going to write a song about, school shootings or something, you wouldn't put a line in your song in the second set saying, obese kids make easy targets or something, and then be like, well, I'm just saying, we have an obesity problem amongst kids. Well, yeah, we do, but that's not the way you do it. That's not how you tackle that. You wouldn't say something like that. And that's sort of what he did. I mean, 5'3", 300 pounds, fudge round line. It's like, dude, there's ways to say it and there's ways not to, and that's not really the way you want to say that. Same with the, it wouldn't be like fat kids make easy targets, and be like, oh, I'm not assaulting fat kids. I'm just saying, we have an obesity problem in our country. Dude, that's not how you want to say that. So I don't know about that. I didn't really buy kind of what he was selling there. I think I don't think he put that much thought in that line. Maybe. I don't know.
He was like, that's who I was talking about in my song. So, again, I never was really throwing shade at that dude as much as I just was the people that latched onto it and the reasons why they clearly latched onto it. Because that's always been a Republican talking point for as long as I can remember, and one that I've just never understood. I've never understood how that working poor people could look around at other working poor people and punch down at them and not be pissed at the ones that is rigging the game against us. Because I was working in a factory. I just left that job when that song came out. And I knew what it was like to struggle every day to try to put food on the table and figure out where the hell I was going next. And, I was always one moment away. I was one washer or dryer going bad, or one hot water heater going bad, or one tire blowing out on my car away from being bankrupt, literally. it was such a hard time for years. I struggled to get ahead in this world, and I never ever thought about punching down at the people next to me. It never made sense to me. I never could figure out why that I should be mad because somebody may have needed some assistance to get up, because there was times that I needed it too. Back in the 80s when I was growing up and Ronald Reagan was president, I remember my dad worked 2 jobs, and me and my mom still stood in those cheese lines, and I could still taste that government cheese and that government milk and cereal, the Frosted Flakes that they had.
When I lost my job, you know, it was bankers. It was investment bankers that, you know, approved loans that they shouldn't have been approving for people that shouldn't have qualified to get into the houses they were in, you know, and the house that I owned, I more than qualified for. I could more than afford it, as long as I didn't lose my job in the greatest economic downturn since the Great Depression. You know, so like I said, I was a lead pressman in the commercial printing industry. Actually, I don't think I mentioned this. I was a lead pressman in the commercial printing industry for 20 years and got laid off in the '08 crash in March of 2008. And I was out of work for a couple of years. I ended up going to truck driving school and got my CDL. And you know, it was a rough time. I had a child born with a birth defect. He had 9 surgeries before he was even 2 years old, back in 2006. And my for-profit healthcare provider found every loophole they could to not pay for stuff, and they ultimately bankrupted me and my then wife. And so, and then the last thing that happened was the house that I owned with my ex-wife. We just sold it in January, and we both had to take about a $70,000 loss because there's this mineral called pyrrhotite that was in the concrete when it was poured, and it took about 20 to 25 years for the concrete to start cracking and for the foundation to fail. Of course, we didn't know this when we bought the house. The house was, I think, 15 years old when we bought it, passed inspection, everything was fine. And then, you know, instead of it being a $300,000 house, we sold it for $160,000. And instead of walking away with $120,000, I walked away with $50,000. And that's why I'm doing this, because it's like, you know what? I'm walking away with $50,000, and I don't have a mortgage to pay anymore. I'm done. I'm done working. I'm gonna fucking do music and do this other thing and do this content creation thing. How am I doing so far? I know I'm doing terrible. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm trying. Hopefully it gets better.
Still, the cheese wasn't too bad, honestly, but that milk, that powdered milk, and those Frosted Flakes sucked. And I grew up on that with a dad working 2 jobs and a mom, you know, doing part-time when she could to help us scrape by. And she was still saying to me, when you go to school today, make sure that you eat seconds if they offer it, because there ain't going to be a whole lot when you get home. And I guess I was raised up by 2 good people who taught me that punching down at the people next to me wasn't the answer. But the rich man at the top was getting us all fighting amongst ourselves. So again, if that song, you know, he had me. I was sitting there going, yeah, man, yeah, we're all working overtime hours for bullshit pay, and these rich men are taking us all. But then the song took that turn. And when it did, it just resonated with one of the worst talking points that MAGA has ever had and Republicans have ever had. I'm not just going to put it on MAGA.
And if you're going to say, well, I don't want my tax dollars, your tax dollars go to fucking billionaires. Elon Musk has literally been handed $40 billion of U.S. taxpayer money. Tesla would be gone. Tesla would be history if Obama didn't write him a fucking check for, taxpayer dollars to save that company. SpaceX would not even be around if it wasn't for the billions of taxpayer dollars that were handed to him. most of that guy's companies, potentially all of them, wouldn't fucking exist at this point. This guy might be out on the fucking street sucking dick for beer money, for all we fucking know, if he didn't get all those fucking fucking tax breaks, or all those subsidies. That's the fucking word I couldn't think of. All those taxpayer subsidies. And you're gonna bust the balls of some fucking poor person whose life is in the shitter because they buy some fucking Oreos, or they buy a fucking 2 liter of Pepsi, or whatever the fuck. Really? That's what we're fucking doing now. And now there was some law passed that they can actually check the genitals of children in certain communities to make sure they're not trans. What the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? And yet MAGA is supposed to be the party of freedom. Republicans are supposed to be the party of freedom. Are you fucking kidding me? The party of freedom, and yet, if you don't live by fucking Moses Mike Johnson's fucking religious ideology, then he wants to actually pass laws to make you do it. Fuck that guy. Fuck that entire party. We tried to fucking tell you.
Times, I want to say this, make this point. A lot of times I'll say MAGA, but the Republican Party let this happen, and I'll never fully let them off the hook for none of this. They let this happen, and they preached this stuff for years, and they paved the way for it. Donald Trump may be the most extreme Republican we've ever seen. He may be the most radical Republican that we've ever seen, but MAGA is who paved the way for it. And it started a long time ago. It started before I was ever born. It started, in my mind, it started with Richard Nixon and the Southern Strategy, and it moved on into Ronald Reagan and the moral majority, and George W. Bush helped pave the way. So George W. Bush can eat all the candy he wants to with Michelle Obama, but he still helped pave the way for this madness that we're in today. And these talking points that they've used, punching down at poor people and blaming everyone else for their problems except those rich men north of Richmond, that's always been a Republican talking point, back when even my granddad's was around. That's always been a Republican talking point. And I don't think we'll ever see the toothpaste put back in the tube. I can't see us going back to a more reasonable time, really. I hate to be pessimistic, but I can't see us ever putting the toothpaste back in the tube. But if we were to ever re-elect a reasonable Republican, if there's such a thing, I still feel like we would be battling this type of rhetoric. I still feel like we would be battling this type of thing. They would still be trying to take away anything that helped people. They would still be going after those programs. And right now, that's what they're excited about when it comes to Elon Musk. They're excited about the fact that he's taken these government programs that's going to help people. And they're excited, the people around here, they're excited at the moment until it hits them in the ass. But, I'm never going to let the Republicans off the hook for this, and none of us should. There will be times that you'll hear me agreeing with them. There will be times that you'll hear me agreeing with people like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and Dick Cheney of all fucking people. But we should never let the Republican Party as a whole off the hook for the road that they paved. They paved the way for every bit of this. And to anyone out there that, ever says to me, hey, you remember that song, man? You remember what a good one that was? I was like, yeah. And remember when I said that you didn't give a shit about rich men ruling your lives? You sure as hell didn't.
That's true. Yeah, he nailed it. I respect Adam Kinzinger a lot. We don't agree on a lot of things, but I don't think, to my knowledge, he wasn't like Liz Cheney in terms of literally saying that Democrats were murdering babies after birth, which was something that she pushed. And I just find that inexcusable. I just can't, that really pissed me off when Kamala was trotting her out, because, okay, it's great that you have enough critical thinking and common sense to say Trump is a existential threat to our constitutional republic, because I know there's going to be people in the comments going, "We're not a democracy." Yeah, we're a representative democracy, which is essentially a constitutional republic. It just is. Get over it. But I can't take somebody serious who thinks that the Democrat Party is this evil cabal that wants to murder babies right after they're born. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know, I mean, Jesus Christ. The fuck out of here with that bullshit, you know? So I don't have much respect for her because of that. You know, some of the other stuff is like, okay, fine. Fine, she wasn't as bad as a bunch of MAGAs, but she was still pushing that bullshit. So, and I hope you enjoyed my second set of verses rewrite of Men North of Richmond. And I've got a couple albums out, and I think you should definitely check them out. I think you'll like them. If you like, you know, I keep hearing people say, you know, well, the biggest problem with songs on the radio, especially country radio, is they aren't authentic, and they always talk about wanting authentic songs. Well, my songs are authentic because the vast majority of my songs I wrote about shit I went through, and even the songs I didn't write about shit I went through, I wrote about shit that I could relate to, even if it wasn't specifically about me. So anyway, please check those out. Please check out my stuff, and give me a like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind. I should be looking in the camera. I'm looking everywhere but the camera. So I should look at the camera and be like, please, please, please. I don't want to go back and drive a truck. And I got like a 2-year window to make this happen. And so please like and subscribe and go listen to my songs. Right now, I'm averaging about $1 a day on YouTube. I got to try to get that to at least like $40 or $50 a day, and then I think I can survive. So we gotta scale that up. You know what I mean? $1 a day. That's what I'm making on YouTube. So thank you very much, and I'll see you. Broken bones and I am burned off flesh. I've torn up knees and I bled, but I never had to give up my own breath to keep a roof over my head. No one gets to choose how they grow up. Just follow where they're led. Sometimes it leads them to the mountaintop. Some are buried in the depths. If you're gonna spend time in West Virginia, try to be kind to those who still live there. Nothing but time, whoa, West Virginia. Nowadays their only export is despair. So many homes left abandoned, they just crumble where they see. down wealth was just a man. And a flood rolled through and took out the bridge, washed away a few more dreams. It's like a tidal wave that won't give an inch, pushed in front of a freight train at full speed. If you're gonna spend time in West Virginia, try to be kind to those who still live there. They got nothing but time. Whoa, West Virginia. Nowadays are only exported despair. If you're gonna spend time in